I have a short 5-minute PowerPoint to set things up, then we will hop right into the technology demonstration. Thanks for attending. My name is Paul Grady. I am the president of Crucial Life Sciences Data Solutions. I have been a software developer and database modeler in the clinical research industry since 1983. I belong to several development organizations, and I am a member of the SCDM Mobile Technology Committee as well. Today I'll be talking about how mobile devices will completely change the landscape of clinical trials. When I refer to mobile devices, I am talking about smartphones and tablets. Today we will be using an iPhone 6 and an iPhone and an iPad for our presentation. When I refer to mobile device applications, I refer to native apps that have been designed, modeled, and developed for that device, as opposed to browser-based apps which have been designed for the browser. Mobile app technology is built into the device itself, and there's a number of goodies that come with all of these devices, including the camera, which can produce still and video images. They can actually be captured straight into case report forms. The scanner, which can scan any sort of document. It can scan barcodes, Q codes, or any other type of code you can imagine. The microphone, which can be used to leave voice memos, and those voice memos can be attached to case report forms as well. Location services in a highly regulated industry, knowing exactly where your data is being captured is very important. These devices are always on, which means you always have a connection with you to your clinical trial. The touchscreen user interface allows a very standard and easy way of getting the device to do what you want, whether it be entering data or running reports. Push notifications is a very, very important technology that we'll go into in depth. It allows for you to communicate with all the user roles within your study in a much, much more reliable fashion than phone or email. And finally, these mobile devices are computers that fit right into your pocket. When we talk about mobile device availability, there are 7 billion smartphones and counting. That makes more smartphones than people in this world. Tablets and smartphones are multiplying at a rate 5 times greater than that of people. So when we say when we talk about the smartphone revolution, we aren't talking about the coming revolution. The smartphone revolution is here, and it's here today. So how will mobile devices change clinical trials? Well, the first way would be the elimination of paper. These devices allow you to capture data directly into case report forms, and that data is then transmitted to a database. Because these devices are always with you, capturing data point of care has become a reality. That data right now is captured on paper for the most part, and that paper is filled out somewhere. It is much easier to tap the data into one of these mobile devices than to fill out the paper. And so being able to eliminate the paper allows us some other abilities. For example, the elimination of source document verification. When the eCase report form is the source document, there's nothing to source verify. And so we may be talking today about things like risk-based monitoring, but with these devices and the proper usage, not only is risk-based monitoring obsolete, but monitoring itself is going to be obsolete in the not-too-distant future. These devices are flexible enough, too, as we capture the data point of care, we can truly implement the electronic medical record, as all data can be transmitted not just to the clinical trial database, but the EMR database as well. And of course, capturing patient-reported outcomes in a timely fashion, very, very important. We can review study statuses at any time and anywhere, and push notifications give us a much more reliable way of communicating with our study roles. Is this technology available today? Yes, it is. We are conducting paperless trials on Clinical Studio using iOS devices today. For our demonstration, we'll be using a couple of different tools. Clinical Studio is a free internet browser-based application, and it's also iOS-based. It's a study management and electronic data capture system. You can go to clinicalstudio.com, click the Get Started link, sign up for free, where you're actually granted instant access to the entire system. Incidentally, training is free too and can be signed up on the website as well. We'll use the website and the mobile app to demonstrate how clinical trials are being conducted now and in the future. The two mobile apps, incidentally, are available on the Apple Store today. And so that ends our PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to switch now over to the technology demonstration. Okay. As you can see on my screen, I've got a web browser showing and an iPhone. I'm going to sign back in here real quick. Before we get into this, this is the Clinical Studio website. Here's the Get Started link. You complete 4 simple fields, none of which are very personal at all, and you're given complete access to the system. There's no payment information or anything like that. There's no trial period. As a single user, you can use the system for as long as you want. Incidentally, there's a number of areas within here. One is you can schedule your own training. When you do that, an instructor is allocated to the training time that you request and the topic that you request. There's also a full certification program. I'm going to switch over here to the database website. This is an enterprise-based system, and when I say enterprise-based system, when you sign up, you become your own website host. Being a website host allows you to create one or more studies that you can deploy and make available to your users. I have built a demo study, and I built it for this particular webinar. It actually uses randomization, and that occurs upon enrollment. I'm going to switch over to the form builder real quick. Within the iOS app, we're going to be looking at case report forms, filling a few out, looking at some of the data, and I just wanted to show you how we go about building these case report forms. In Clinical Studio, we have a drag and drop form builder. All clinical professionals can use this tool completely. It's very, very easy to use. You can actually deploy forms for your devices. You may notice the web browser is much wider than the iPhone, and therefore you can actually deploy forms that will render better on the iPhone. Like I said, it's completely drag and drop. You throw your tools out here, you build in your logic to your case report forms, and you're ready to go. And it's really that simple. Like I said, anybody can do it. This here is an iPhone 6. This is what Clinical Studio looks like on the Apple Store. I'm going to close that right now, and I'm going to go into the Clinical Studio app, which is right here. And the first thing we'll notice is some similarities between the website and the app. We talked about how this is an enterprise system. You can belong to multiple hosts. Within each host, you can conduct multiple studies. Here are all the hosts that I belong to, and I can switch to and from hosts and study right on my app. So anything that I have access to on the website, I can access on the app as well. Of course, the app is always on. It's real time. It's much faster than the website. Anyway, back to the app. We're going to do a few things here. First of all, you'll notice at the bottom we have a menu of items, and I'm going to tap the study item here, and that brings us to a menu of things that we can do. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to add a subject. So I'm going to go to the subject manager. And I'm going to hit new subject, and I'm going to hit add edit form. You may notice that the second field is grayed out. I've kind of built that logic in. Like I said, you don't need to be a programmer to do it. Anybody can do it. If I hit yes here, the field will come back to life. And then I can fill out my date of informed consent, my enrollment date, June 9th. Will this be using ePRO data? I'm going to say yes here, and you'll notice that the ePRO password field pops in. And so I'll just quickly put in an ePRO password. And here's something that's kind of unique to these devices that you would need one of these devices to do, is it wants me to take a picture of the subject. Now this can be a picture of anything in any case report form. We just dragged out the picture field when we built the form. So I can actually take a picture, or I can get it from my photo roll within my actual device. So if I hit take photo here, you can see I'm taking a picture of my screen. When I actually take the picture, it says, do you want to use the photo or retake? If I hit use photo, it goes straight into the case report form. And now we've completed this form. I'm going to hit save. What it's doing now is it's processing the data and sending it up to the database. And what it says is that the form has been successfully saved and the record was randomized. And so these devices can be used as randomization allocation tools. And the days of having envelopes in the OR are over, as these devices are obviously much more reliable and much more real time. And so what I've done is I've now enrolled a subject. And you can see my subject is 100-0007. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to complete a form for that subject. And I'm going to go into the demography form here, because it's going to show us a few other little features on this. First of all, notice up here, I have a tab control. And so I can have multiple pages of case report form. And so here is my main page. And if I just tap on the signature up here, it will switch on over to the signature page. And so to complete my form, I can go and enter my date. And it's going to ask me the subject's date of birth here. So I'll drop that down and just enter a random date here. And here it's saying, well, is this a partial date? And if I tap that, because I've built this logic in, it will bring up the partial date field. And it will hide the other date field. However, I'll just use the real date field. And so as you can see, it brings the form back in. And so this is how these devices work. It's instantaneous and it's very interactive. Makes it very easy to fill out. The age, I'll just compute that. What is the sex of the subject? I'm going to hit female here. What is the ethnicity? I'm going to drop this down and say non-Hispanic. And here I'm going to say other for the race. And you can see it says specify other when I hit other. For now, I'm just going to do that. And so I'll save this case report form. It says that it was successful. I'm going to go over to the next page now. And here's an interesting field that you can drag out using the form builder. And this is an actual analog signature. And so I'm just going to use my finger here. I can actually sign the case report form. And so by doing so, not only are we able to provide an electronic signature with these devices, but we can attach an analog signature to the device as well. And so I'll save that as well, and we can go back, and now we actually have a demography form. I'm now going to go into the medical history record here. And I'm going to complete the date here, and I'm going to put some stuff in. Say yes to medications. Say no here. You may notice that I've got some things going on here. If I say yes, they become enabled. If I say no, they become disabled with the exception of that cat field. This is just how I built the logic into the form. And so if I say yes here, this becomes enabled. If I say yes here, these become enabled. And if I say no, they stay disabled. So you can see how that works. Then we can switch to the next page, which is the history page. If I say yes, everything becomes enabled again. And now I'm going to hit save. And it's going to save my form and tell me it was successful. However, there were some errors, as it stated, and when those errors occur, the system generates queries. And so we're all familiar with how query management systems work. Well, it's fully supported on the app as well. And so if I tap on the query icon, it will take me straight into the query. If I actually have the right, I can manually close the query. Or the query can be closed by me actually fixing the data. It's saying that this is a required field here. And so if I were to say yes and save the form, it saves the form instantly, and you can see this now switched to a closed query. And so we're able to support an entire query management system. Obviously, those queries are documentation of how this case report form is being filled out. And so that's an example of some of the forms that we have on the system. I'm going to switch back now to the study menu, and I'm going to take a look at some of the other items on it. The first is the dashboard report. And as you can see, at any time, I get my study status completely. And so it's telling me the number of queries I have, the case report forms that have been entered. It goes into my reviewing levels and stuff like that. And I can even drill into some of these reports and get more detail. In addition to the dashboard report, I also have a My Queries report. The My Queries report will only bring up queries that have been allocated to your user role. And in addition, you can actually go in and you can filter your My Queries report. And so if I say, hey, only show me my demography queries, I can save the filter and I can go back and instantly it has filtered my report. And you can see how quickly that you can go through this. This is much faster than a web browser. And so when we say that it's easier to complete forms on an iPhone than it is a desktop computer, this is what we're talking about. And so in this particular case, you can see we have a total of 35 queries, 22 of them are closed, 4 are manual, which were left by users with the query right, 31 were produced by the system. And so that's kind of how the My Query report works. From here, I want to go into the action item report, which is another report that brings up multiple levels of reporting. And so you can see, and this is a completely Part 11 compliant system. If I change data without providing a reason, I need to go provide that reason. Again, I can tap in it, it'll show me a list, and it will show me that on this form, I changed a field from blank to yes, which we all saw me do. It wants me to provide a reason. So if I do that, it'll eliminate it from the list. And so action items tell me everything that I need to do. There's 35 missing scheduled visits. There's 9 CRFs with open queries. There's 11 reviews for the monitor, 4 for the data manager, and 1 for the investigator. In Clinical Studio, you can set up your own review levels and define which roles are responsible for completing those data reviews. And so if I go into the data manager review, I can take a look at any one of these. I'm an administrator, so I have a right to every one. And you can see it's telling me the form is read-only, and it's because the monitor has placed a review level lock on it. And so that's how that works. I'm going to quickly switch over here now to the iPad. And I have an iPad in my hand as well now. And I'm going to tap on the Clinical Studio icon, and it's going to go in. You can see I'm now Wendy Glick. And rather than being an administrator, I am now a monitor. And so if I go into the study menu, I can go into the action item report. And because I'm only a monitor, I only have the rights to that one report. And it's telling me I've got 11 things to do. And as a monitor, it's nice to know what I have to do. And so I can click through and I can say, well, let's look at this enrollment form here. And so this is really part of a source verification process. Even though these devices will eliminate source verification in the future, it won't happen overnight. And so we're able to source verify with these devices. This is a read-only record because I'm a monitor. I'm not allowed to change data, just leave queries on data and review data and lock forms. And so I'm going to close this, and I'm going to say, well, look at this. And I'm going to tap in here, and it's going to say tap here to add a new query. And I'm going to add a new query. The data does not match the source documentation. Here's something else these devices allow me to do. For the description, I can just talk it in rather than type it in. So I can say, Please review this form. Thank you very much. Now I can hit done, and everything I say, it actually types straight into the field. I can close that, I can post my message, and now I have an open query. When I go back to my form, you can see that the query is open. And so I can hit done here. When it's time for me to go through and look at some other forms here, I can go through the source verification process. Here's a form with a picture taken on it. And when I'm ready to source verify this form, all I have to do is tap on this little link here. It brings up this text, which is user definable. I can hit yes. And now this form has been locked and removed from my list. And it goes to the data manager review bucket. And so that's how the workflow operates within Clinical Studio. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, and I'm going to take this out of here. Let's see if we can find my iPhone. There it is. And we're going to talk a little bit about push notifications here. We've got about 8 minutes left here, and push notifications are a very, very important technology. First of all, I'm going to turn that off, and so we're not even on Clinical Studio. And push notifications allow you to send messages to your user roles. I'm going to go into this, this app right here called Manage My Mobile Devices. What it's going to do is it's going to bring up a database of all of the mobile devices within my clinical trial. And as you can see, there's quite a few of them. This is just for this one site. If I go and filter to all my sites, it'll show me all of my mobile devices. I'm just going to go back to my iPhone 6 device here. And push notifications allow you to send messages straight through to a device. You can see my device right here. And communication, as we all know, is extremely important in clinical trials. And so being able to send messages to your users in a reliable fashion is very, very important. We know that emails can be spam. They can be part of hundreds of emails a user receives each day. They can be lost. For whatever reason, they cannot even be transmitted. Phone calls, you can really only do one at a time, but this is different. I can say, hey, send a message to all my monitors, or I can say send a message to a single person. And so I can send group notifications or single notifications. If I wanted to, I could bring up all my administrators here. I can filter by that, and this brings up my administrators. I can say send a message to all of them, or I can send a message to one. When I do send a message, I can say, good morning, please review your data. I can really say anything I want. And when I click send, what will happen is this will go through the Apple push notification server, and the notification will be sent directly to the device. Generally, it comes in a second or less. That took a couple of seconds. But you can see that because of this, this came straight through. No matter where the user is, if their phone is on or off, they will get this notification. And if they tap open, it takes them straight into the app. And so now I've got a new way of communicating with all of my roles. But it goes beyond that, okay? I've set up some logic in a case report form here. Again, I'm going to turn off Clinical Studio. And in this case report form, I've set it up so that using some combination of the data, I want the system to automatically send a push notification. And so by doing so, what I'm saying is if this equals no, send my users a push notification. And so I'm saving the form, and as you can see, the notification this time came to the phone faster than the form was actually saved. And it's telling me that I need to bring my attention to this issue. I mean, this could be for serious adverse events. It could be for just about anything. And any combination of the data can allow you to build in the logic to send out these notifications to your users. Again, this is just something that we've not had the ability to do in the past, but we certainly do now. I'm going to switch gears again real quick, and I'm going to go into our ePRO app. ePRO, as you know, is an application that is meant for subjects. And so once a subject is logged into this app, it's a very simple app. They only have a few things that they can do. All right, and the main thing that they can do is they can complete forms. And you may have noticed that there was an icon badge sitting on my ePRO app. And so I actually have 2 forms that I need to complete. You know, ePRO is very important. Getting this data from subjects is of critical importance. If I just tap on one of these forms, it will take me in, and I can just tap out my answers really, really simply. Okay? Here's an example of another type of form. And so we can do any sort of form with ePRO. And perhaps the most important part of this ePRO technology is push notifications, because on the website here, we can set up notifications to be sent automatically to our users. And so we have an ePRO configuration page here. And this is basically saying if a form is due, we need you to set an icon badge on the user's device. We need you to play an audible tone. And then the day it becomes due, we need you to send this message to the user. And if the user does not complete the form, then every other day send this message. And so now your patient users don't have to know the schedule. Their phone will constantly remind them, hey, it's time to fill out a form. When they get these push notifications, as you've seen, they can just tap on the notification. It will take them straight into the form and they can complete them. We are noticing our ePRO studies, we are losing far fewer patients to follow-up, and the data that is coming in is much cleaner and much, much more reliable. And so that's how we've set up the ePRO app to work. In addition, we also have an ePRO device manager. When your subjects download the ePRO app on the Apple Store or by the end of the year on the Android Store, and they sign in, they will become a part of this database. And so just like when we send our other user roles, our site coordinators and monitors push notifications, we can send them off to our subjects as well. And we can say something like, hello, thank you for your participation. It is very much appreciated, or something to that order. We can remind them to fill out forms, even though we've already programmed the system to remind them to do that. And when we send it, generally that message will go through to the device in a pretty good hurry. And like I said, it always comes through, and whether the phone is on or off. We also know that with these mobile devices, that we all have one, 7 billion of them out there. Let me ask you a question. I'm sure everybody on this webinar has a mobile device, but how many of you have recently left your home without your mobile device? And if you actually did, and you have to answer honestly here, we can't hear you, but you can answer yourself, did you turn around and go get your mobile device? And my thought is that that probably did happen. The last thing that I want to show here is the technology that these devices allow. We know that we entered a subject earlier, 100-0007, and I'm going to drill into that case report form. That case report form has a image that was uploaded. We took that with our camera. It's displayed here as a upload, and it's part of the document library in Clinical Studio. But that's not the only thing that happened. With these devices, we know where the user is. So where the user completes the data, it is stamped to the case report form. And in this particular case, it doesn't show just the randomization. It shows where this data was actually captured. And in addition to that, we can actually drill into this, and we can see exactly where that data was captured. As you can see, we're a little bit north of Lake Tahoe on the California-Nevada border, and even a little bit further north of the Bay Area here. And so when you've got a highly regulated trial and somebody is entering data for a site in Philadelphia, and that data is coming in from Tijuana, Mexico, that is going to raise a flag for me. And perhaps Part 11, which is somewhat of a older set of guidelines for conducting clinical trials, should have something about location because the technology has improved. And in fact, Part 11 could probably be rewritten because these devices allow for much greater and much more reliable data. And so when we talk about completing clinical trials, we can now do it with a device that fits in your pocket no matter what your role is within the study. And we can do it in a Part 11 compliant way that's much more reliable. And so just to review things, we've seen that this is a better, faster data capture tool than a PC. It's easier. It brings technology into the fold like a camera, signature, location services, and perhaps most importantly, push notifications. It allows study review levels to be completed. Users of all roles can do it, and when we talk about the mobile device revolution being here today, we invite you to be a part of it with the only system that completely supports the device and the clinical trial, and that's Clinical Studio. Well, thank you for your time. Our time is up here, and I hope you all have a great day again. If you'd like to see this more in depth, please feel free to get a hold of me or go to our website and schedule a demo for a training session, or sign up for free and take a look at it yourself. Again, there's no trial period. So thank you, everybody, and take care.